Okay, so we're going to work on creating our very first animation, and I wanted to do something pretty basic to start with. I just went through and made this animation. Mr. Curlin riding a motorcycle down a road with some clouds going by. You can see the clouds are going opposite direction. Play it one more time. I know it's exciting. For me, it was very exciting to actually pull this together. And the reality of it is, whenever I watched this, whenever I created this, I spent probably about an hour of dedicated time on this. And for me, it opens up a world of possibilities. I start thinking about all the different things that we could actually do with it. So the actual files that I made for this are all right here. I have a background PNG file. So it was just an image brought into Illustrator and then vectors created from it. I did not have to do any of that. I didn't have to bring it into Illustrator and make it into a vectorized file. I could have used just a JPEG. I did this to kind of match the cartoonish look. I made some really bad looking clouds. I spent a lot of time trying to make nice looking clouds, and this is what I came up with. So I am not destined to be a cloud artist. I had already done this. I basically took a photo of Mr. Curlin, chopped his head off, put it on this AI generated chopper. I stretched his belly out quite a bit to make his belly look more realistic. This guy was pretty thin, and took the background out of it. And you notice these PNG files that I have, they don't have backgrounds. Here was the original road JPEG that I started with. You can see it's a little bit, it's more of a realistic look. And basically one of the Illustrator files that I started with. So inside of Adobe Premiere, so this is where I actually started working. This is what it looks like inside of Adobe Premiere. And I'm just going to start at the beginning and create a new one. So before I do anything, I'm going to save this, and I'm going to do a new project. And let's see, all kinds of different things in here. So the project name, I'm going to say demonstration animation. I'm up here on the upper left hand corner. Demonstration animation is the name of it. My project location, I'm going to choose a location, and I'm going to go to Google Drive, Shared Drives, Digital Media Arts, and I'm going to make this inside DMA PM 2425. Or actually, I'm going to change my location. I'm going to put it inside of video lessons, and since I'm going to probably post this video, and I'm going to call this animation. Double click on that, and I select that folder. Minimize that, and I'll go ahead and say we're going to look at the project templates. I don't have anything that I know what to work with there. So I'm going to say create, and it's going to give me basically take some of the assets that I have and plop them into the timeline already. You guys may or may not end up with these. You might end up with something different depending on exactly where your location is. So before I do anything, I'm just going to delete these right now. And before I mess up and somehow overwrite the file I was just working on, I'm going to do a save as, and I'm going to put this in my video lessons folder, and I'm going to call it basic animation. And I'm going to put it in the animation folder. I already made this project. I'm not exactly sure why I had to do that again, but every time I've done this, I've had to redo that. So that's something to learn. So I have 4 different screens here. This is going to be my main preview screen. I have different controls for looking at the video that I'm making, the sequence. Down here, this little thing, this little area is going to be for my media that I'm going to import. And here's my timeline. And this is going to be more of a contextual menu, meaning that whenever I have something selected, something will appear here. Since I have nothing in here, nothing's there. So I'm going to import media, and I'm just going to go to this first animation, and I'm going to choose the road, JPEG. I'm going to do background PNG, cloud PNG, curling on hog PNG. And I don't need anything else. I'm going to say OK. And I'm going to have those 3 things in the project right now. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drag my background. I'm going to deselect them, then I'm going to select the background PNG, and I'm going to drag it over here to one of my video sections. So like I have video, I have audio tracks down here, and I'm going to put the video right there. Then I'm going to grab Curlin' on Hog, and I'm going to drag it right there above it. And I'm going to bring these, try to show more video than audio since I don't have any audio right now. And I'm going to put my clouds up here. And if I just played that right now, they're 3 still images. They're not moving. So whenever I hit play, they're playing for 4.29 seconds, and that's what I end up with. If I want to stretch these out, I can click on, let's see, where is it? This tool, track select forward. I can grab this and bring these over here. Whoop, I think I have to have those selected first. And this isn't working how I did it the other day. So I'm going to do it this way. Select those, bring them over here. I'm going to make this maybe like a 10-second clip. Something like that. So I'm around 10 seconds right there. And I'm going to leave it at that. Then I'm going to look at this, and really what I want to do is I want the background and the clouds to hang out a little bit longer than the Curlin' on the Hog. I kind of want him to be somewhere like that in there. So I'm going to start out with just the clouds in the background, then he's going to come onto the scene, and then he's going to ride off, and then it's going to be left with the clouds in the background again. So I didn't do that on the first one, but I think I want to do something like that. So the clouds, I want them to be up here somewhere in the sky. And I want to start over here, and I want them to move in this direction. So somewhere in this area, move in that direction. So what you may or may not have noticed is whenever I click on cloud, this contextual menu up here gets populated with all these different things. So there's source, effects, a few other things, metadata. So whenever I have the clouds selected, I'm going to go to Effect Controls, and I have motion effects, rotation, and a few other things that I haven't messed with. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on, like right now, there are no keyframes. We haven't talked about keyframes yet, but there are no keyframes in here. So if I change the location, and remember I have the cloud selected, if I change the location of these, let's say 5,000, if you notice they moved over here. So try 1,000 and they're over there. So I said I wanted to start up in here somewhere, so I'm going to try 8,000, see what it looks like off the screen. So I'm going to try, let's say 6,000. They're up there. And then this is the Y. So I have X is horizontal, Y is vertical, and I'm going to try putting these about 300. That's too far, so I'm going to try 500. I'm just kind of guessing at this. Let's try 700. Okay, so now the clouds are in a good location. So if I go back to the beginning of this and I hit play and I go through my 10 seconds, you notice that the clouds are not moving. They're in the exact same location the duration of the clip. So what I want to do is I need to add what we call keyframes to those. So whenever I click on clouds and I come back up here, I'm going to keep this 6,700 as my starting point. I'm going to come over to this little button that says toggle animation, and I'm going to click that. Right now, this right here is my slider to tell it where I can add keyframes to change the motion. So I'm going to take this all the way back to the beginning, and at the beginning I want the clouds to be at 6,700. Then I'm going to take this slider bar over here to the end of the scene, and then I'm going to change this to, let's say, 5,200. Maybe I'll just drop them like to 650, just to, they're coming down lower, something like that. I hit enter. I go back, I can click this button to go back to the very beginning, and I hit play, and as it plays through, the clouds should be moving. And it doesn't look like they are. Not doing anything. So click those again. Clouds, 6,000. I come all the way over here in 6,000. So whenever I hit enter, I must have lost my value. So to start over, I can just click that. I can say, yes, I want to delete the keyframes. I click it again. My starting point, I'm going to be at 6,700. I'm going to drag it over here. Again, I'm going to change this to 5,200. And I'm going to change this to 675. And I'm going to take it back here without hitting enter. That's the only thing I did differently. And now you can see that the clouds are moving across the sky slowly. And that's exactly the look that I was looking for, trying to get. So now that I'm done with the clouds, I'm going to move on to my next asset here, curling on the hog. So at the beginning of the clip, first of all, the first thing I have to do, if I want to have keyframes, I need to toggle on animation, and I have to figure out where he is on the screen because right now I can't even find him. So I don't know if that's because he's back here. Yeah, so he's right there, and I'm going to just play around with these numbers to get him to be where I want him to be. So I'm going to try 10. So at 10, he's all the way back there. And let's see if I can do a minus number. I don't know if I can or not. Yeah, so I'm going to do minus 200. Let's try minus 1,000. Alright, so his wheel's just coming out of the screen at that location. And we'll do minus 1250. Alright, so that's right where I want him to start onto the screen. So I have my keyframe, my animation turned on. I'm at the beginning of the scene. Then I take it to the end of the scene, or the duration of my clip, and I'm going to change this number, my X location. I'm going to change that to 10,000. Let's try 9,500. And I think my Y got changed too, didn't it? Let's drag this back here. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, so he's off screen. So the cool thing is, I just realized this, whenever I'm sliding this across here, my numbers are changing. So I can see exactly where I want him to exit. So it's really more like 9,200, 9,300. I'm just going to make that 9,300. 9,500, sorry. And he's just exiting the screen. And then I'll move on to my background, which is good to go. So everything's how I like it right now. Let's do a preview. I'll go back, I'll hit play, and clouds are moving, Mr. Curlin's moving. Got some little artifact up here, but man, I like it. Looks good. I'm gonna try one more thing with this. I'm gonna go to my clouds, and I notice there's an opacity up here. I'm gonna change the opacity to like maybe 50% and see if that makes those clouds look any better. Oh yeah, I like it. Nice. Alright, so once I'm happy with that, I can come up here to my, first of all, I'm going to do this. I'm going to save this. And then I'm going to go to my export tab, and I'm going to give this a name, Curlin with wind in his hair. I don't know. I'm just coming up with something. And I'm going to change the location of that. I'm going to put it into my video lessons folder, and I'm going to leave it named that. Hit save. I'm going to choose a 1080p high quality, and the format I'm going to use is H.264. This is going to be our codec, our compression decompression, which we'll talk a lot more about later. And whenever I'm done, I say export. It goes through and renders it. That did not look right because it only took 1 second to do it. So we're going to check to see if it worked. And whenever we watch the video, everything's working just the way that we want it to. So this is a quick, easy way to do some very basic animations. We could do more complex stuff with it. There's a lot more effects in there as well.